Hi everyone. I'm going to be using this Mangaka Flex pen with some markers. I just did a little bit of research and it turns out this is supposed to work pretty good with markers. We're going to find out. Also, I've been drawing a lot of animals lately. I did this horse. I did this tiger, which will eventually I'll marker color. I did this rabbit all yesterday. Today we're going to try and do a wolf or a dog, depending on how good my wolf turns out. And then we're going to color it, so let's go for it. My idea of the four-legged wolf, and then I want to have him kind of looking down. This is not meant to be a realistic wolf, by the way. I do everything kind of cartoony. If you look at my tiger, kind of the storybook illustration style. I've been looking at a lot of sort of fairy tale books, which I've always liked. And one of the easiest ways to make anything go from semi-realistic, if we could call it that, to cartoon style is in the eyes. You could give some intelligence to the eyes, and then suddenly you have a cartoon, right? So I almost want to do like a tongue lolling out. And we could assign maybe some personality traits to the wolf, like this could be a bad wolf, like a mean wolf. It could be a good wolf, Right now I think he's a mean-ish wolf. I think if we really wanted to amp up the meanness of it, you give him the Sanpaku eyes, the crazy eyes. I think let's give him the crazy eyes. And just like if you were drawing a person or a figure, you might drop the shoulders and have it, on the hunt suddenly. Okay, now I did research onto this. If this pen holds out, we're gonna just go ahead and use it for this whole drawing. I bought this pen a long time ago and it's still good, so I'm happy about that. Where could the light be? Maybe the light's coming this way, so we're gonna draw the shadows that way. I would like to do something kind of unusual for the coloring once we get to that. Maybe we'll do them in like some slate blue or purple. We could do them in red. have to admit I'm a little frightened of whether or not this pen works good with the markers, but I've been assured that it indeed does, and that it is commonly used with Copics and alcohol markers. I don't have real Copics, by the way. I have a couple of real Copics, let's say. What I really have are Ohuhus. Which are like a budget alternative. And this is turning out to be a very simple drawing. This isn't the first wolf in this book. I think I did one back here. There's another one that I did. I like these sort of scrawny wolves. This one's more of a cartoon. Could even do like a slavering. Yeah, I think that's close to what we want, really. All right, let's give it a couple of seconds to dry. I have an eraser, kneaded eraser. We could do something with the background, you know, to make it standing on something, a rock. Let's frame it in something, maybe a couple of rocks. Well, if the light's coming this way, then our shadow should be reaching towards the light. this leg will be in shadow. We're going to try and handle some of that in the color. Let's do another rock here. And I'm intentionally dry brushing this. If I went slow, we could get a a dark line. Like that, but if we go fast, we can get like this sort of dry brush effect. All right. Now, let's think about color. I'm going to go to Coolors.com and we're going to find a palette. Okay, here we are. This is Coolors.com. I'm not great at color, so I like to use tools like this. They're pretty useful. This is Coolors.co or Coolors.com, and it's a color palette generator that will automatically come up with some cool combinations. And I think we're just going to commit to whatever the generator comes up with us, even if it's kind of weird. I also use a color wheel every once in a while. We're not doing this digitally. We're going to go in with markers, but I am basically going to use this to suggest some things. So let's start it. All right, this is a nice neutral palette, although I'm not 100% sure I want it because I've got these light colors, and I'm wondering how I'm going to pull that off. I think I have... I mean, I could use this alabaster, could just be the white, gray, green. I think I could probably do this, and then Davy's gray for the darkest. I think that's a possibility. All right, let's go for it. This is what we're going to use. We're going to use this kind of palette. All right, check it out. I think I've got it. I found some colors that really do approximate all 5 colors. I won't even have to use that use the white as the alabaster color. I'll start out with, I think it's this pearl color. And I'll just show you what it looks like. It's a very light gray, right? And then as we move up scale, the next one is going to be this, what's ironically called Timberwolf. It's a little bit darker. The next color up is the Mint Mist. There we go. What was called Cambridge Blue for some reason on the palette generator. This next one is kind of a dark green or like an olive color. This is not quite it, but it's close. And this one is called Guacamole. And then finally, our darkest color is going to be Davy's Gray. For this, for me, it's a Cool Gray 17, CG17. I think if we use these 5, we'll be good. And we might do like maybe a different color for the tongue, you know, to give it a pop of pink or something in there on the tongue. Or maybe not. Maybe we'll use whatever. All right, let's talk about what's the darkest colors. This is how to do this. First of all, you're going to need your plastic sheet, which I think comes with almost every collection of Ohuhu markers. These will bleed right through the paper. It's just a regular sketchbook. I think it's like GSM 100 paper. It's pretty typical paper. And working the whole image. We kind of know where some of the darks are because we kind of picked them out a little bit with our black. So let's make those the darkest shadows. And maybe some shadows behind him. I'm in the middle of a marker class right now, and I'm learning a lot. I wish we could go deeper. We only have a couple of hours in each class. So, you know, I'm doing my best to pick up what I can. And I've never done markers before, really. I mean, I've had a couple of markers in my life. He almost looks cool as a white wolf. I don't want to have him standing completely in shadow, though. And since these are rocks, we can kind of do some random... Okay, there we go. How about that? All right, now, on the figure itself, where are the shadows? Inside the ears, probably. Maybe under the jaw. I want to be careful not to blend his limbs right out, but I think I might have just done that with there. We'll bring some of this back. Maybe on this side of his head. But my general strategy is to do the darks first. All right, that's the darkest color. The next darkest is the green. And for this, I think we're gonna try, and I'm still gonna use the chisel tip. And I actually do not mind blending, going straight over the top of stuff that I've already colored in. Doesn't always work, especially when you're dealing with sort of high saturation stuff, but it kind of works. Also, I'm going to use the rest of my colors. I think we're going to focus on the wolf. And maybe the background we'll use our lightest colors. But for this green color, since it's so unique in the palette, and I think there's two greens, there's the other green right here. And I just noticed there's a shadow area that I didn't pick out, so let's fix that real quick. All right, pretty good. Let's go back to the green. And then I'm not going full saturation. I'm not just chiseling down because I want some white to pop out of there. Because we're going to continue coloring this with layers. All right, it's starting to look pretty good. We need to deepen the shadows underneath the wolf. We've got this gray, but it's the exact same gray that's down here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use some of this green to layer on top so that we've picked out the different planes. There we go, that looks pretty good. All right, next lightest is this, what is called Mint Mist. All right, now here's where we actually are going to chisel down and once again layer right on top. And my strategy once again is focus on shading. Like you're really shading the colors in at this stage. So we go darkest shadows, then the next darkest, then the next darkest. He is a green wolf. That's what happens when you commit to using whatever color the generator comes up with. Oh, let's do a green tongue. There we go. All right, we're chiseling down, but we're leaving lots of white in there to show that where the light is. And you know how you have the colorless blender that you can use? Well, all that's in the colorless blender is alcohol, and these are also alcohol. So if you want to blend two colors, you can layer in, and it will come together. All right. Now we're getting into our darks, and I think this is the next darkest. Well, let's see. I got Pearl and Beacon Gray. I think Pearl is darker, or Beacon Gray must be darker. Let's just make sure I'm on the right. Yeah, Beacon Gray is the darker of the two. So. Layer on top and just bring out some even darker colors. Don't layer everything. Let some colors shine through. And then some colors. And now he's less green. He's still green, but he's a little bit less green. And we can see that he really is a wolf. think if I did this again, I would work less of the green in. I think it's looking good with the gray for our Timberwolf. Maybe this is almost like an off cast. Oh, this is an interesting thing too. When you're dealing with any of the markers, you really have at least 2 tones in the markers. Your first tone is when it goes on. And it first goes on, you know. Your second tone is when you layer your thing over and then you suddenly get a slightly darker tone. And I'm kind of going these light strokes to get kind of a lighting effect, like a dry brush effect. It's looking good. Okay. Our final tone is the lightest one of all, and we've got very little white left, but we're not gonna cover the white. We still want some of the white in there. On the eyes, we're gonna do like a little bit of, let me switch to the bullet tip here. There we go. And then layering over it, we'll cool off any of the brighter colors a little bit. I don't think we can overwhelm that green. That's cool, it's fine. It is what it is. I really like how the rocks are turning out. Now, if we've lost something, like I've almost lost this back leg here, we can use a white Posca pen, which I happen to have right nearby, or for something kind of thin, just a white gel pen, which I've also got. And you can just kind of pick out the outline. If it works. And it kind of does. I almost want to do the nose. Like I left a little bit of white in that nose and it's okay to keep it, but I'm gonna shade it down just a little bit. We could even do whiskers. Maybe just the base of the teeth with the very lightest gray. A little bit of the tongue. And there's our wolf. All right. This was a lot of fun. You can see it goes pretty quickly if you know what colors you're going to use and you kind of stick to them. I'm kind of thinking about doing a little bit of the tongue, maybe in a pink. I'm just going to pick this as Pink Carnation. Let's see how it turns out. Oh, it looks good. Maybe we can even do a little bit around the eyes. A little bit in the ear. Looks good. Okay, cool. All right. Please like, follow, and subscribe. There will be more marker art and coloring. I'm really new to color, so I'm learning too. But more art every day. Talk to you later.